Welcome to everybody. I'm here just as a delegate of the chairman of my department, which is the department even of Giovanna, Philosophy and Communication. And let me immediately give the floor to the Vice Rector for International Relations, Antonino Rotolo.
Yeah, I'm Vice for Research. No worries, it's fine. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm Vice Rector for Research, but by the way, I'm also a philosopher and logician. But I'm working in the law school. So there's a piece of story I can tell you, the fact that each time I go to Brussels and we discuss together the research and the perspective of research, especially for the next framework program, all people in Brussels insist on the fact that interdisciplinarity is very important, the fact that the fact that the different disciplines collaborate together and try to work out new results in research, also in fundamental research, is very important. And so as a logician, by the way, I'm very happy to be here. Essentially, I also saw that in the program there are issues that are concern my personal research. But as logician, it's always very clear to me that philosophy, logical science, logics are the typical disciplines where you can serve all the other disciplines, right? And the role that you should play as a community is not only important within your own community, right? Of course, it's quite clear, but also in regard to the other communities, research communities. And the fact that different disciplines collaborate together is mainly due to people like you that are able to connect in the dots, right? And able to bring people together using methodologies that are able to establish bridges between different disciplines. And my personal story, in a sense, is also part of what I'm saying, right? I got a degree in philosophy with the thesis on logic, and Giovanna was my co-supervisor, by the way. And then I moved to law, but through computer science. Sometimes taking this path is very difficult, because when I was in computer science in King's College London, I went to people in computer science saying, "Look, I'm working on logic," and they said, "What's the complexity of your logic? Is decidable? What's the complexity?" And of course I said, well, the logic so far is not so good from the computational point of view, but we can work out some fragments that are computable. And of course, they didn't understand the value of my research. Then I went to philosophers. I said, "What are you doing? I don't understand anything." Then I went to lawyers, and can you imagine what lawyers could say regarding what a logician could do on deontic logic, right? They say, "Well, I don't understand. This is completely useless. The law is a practice, is not logic, right?" So this is very difficult. But if you start working with all this, the fact that I started working with all these people, with lawyers, with philosophers, with computer scientists, and at the end of the day, now they understand. It took 20 years, but they now understand. So, sorry for telling my personal story, but I think it's, first of all, because I feel at home, so I can tell you my story, but also because I think that when I, as Vice Rector, I go to Brussels, I go to all places where people decide the next perspective for research, I'm very much aware of the fact that your community and other communities are of key importance for promoting research and for supporting real interdisciplinary research, right? So I read the program. The program is very rich. There is a lot of interesting sessions and presentations. There are also a couple of presentations that are, as I said, regarding my personal research, which is non-normal model logics. So very, very interested to see the results of your conference. So congratulations and enjoy the conference. Thank you very much.
Giovanna Corsi, who is the president of the Italian Society for Philosophy of Science and Logic.
Welcome to the Triennial Conference of SILFS 2017. As most of you know, this conference comes at the end of my period of presidency of SILFS, and I'm very glad to end it together with such a lovely community of logicians and philosophers of science. This conference sees the participation of about 200 people, most of them quite young and coming from different parts of the world. This makes me think that our disciplines will flourish for quite some time. The governing body of SILFS and myself thank all those who have sent us their contributed papers and those who have organized small symposium centered on a specific topic. A special thank to the invited speakers who, by accepting, have added distinction to the conference. I am also glad to host this conference in my university, in my own department of philosophy and communication. My personal thanks to the director of the department and to Professor Paolo Leonardi, who is here with us today. My deep gratitude to the Pro-Rector Antonino Rotolo for his president and his kind words. The conference has been financially supported by the Department of Mathematics of the University of Milan, by the Department of Pedagogy, Psychology and Philosophy of the University of Cagliari, and by the Department of Philosophy and Communication of the University of Bologna. The governing body of SILFS is very grateful to all these institutions. Moreover, we have established a fruitful collaboration with the Italian Society of History, Philosophy and Social Studies, of Biology and Medicine, and in fact, we have a session and a symposium devoted to studies of biology and medicine. Last but not least, we had a prestigious sponsorship from the Division of Logic, Methodology, Philosophy of Science and Technology, part of the Union of History and Philosophy of Science. Now, this sponsorship is very important to us because the very existence of SILFS as a society going through from the 50s to the present days is linked to the Division of Logic, Methodology, Philosophy of Science and Technology. SILFS joined the division before 1962, so we read in the documents of the division. Now, in the late 60s, SILFS must have gone through a period of decline. And at the Fourth International Congress of Bucharest in 1971, Professor Evandro Agazzi came to know of the existence of SILFS in the very moment when the division was on the point to expelling SILFS because of its inactivity. The exclusion was then suspended and SILFS was founded again in 1972. At that time, there were only rumors that SILFS existed since 1950. Only this year, 2017, thanks to a philosophy student, Alessandro Cazzola, the first statute of SILFS of January 1951 was found. So now the earlier period of SILFS and the present one are linked together. Now we know for certain that SILFS was founded in 1950, and we have good reasons to think that SILFS joined the division when the division was formed in 1955. So the financial support we have had from the division is very significant to us, and we are very grateful. As you might have seen from the program, the conference is divided into 5 sessions, roughly 2 sessions devoted to philosophy of science, either general or specific to physics, cognitive science, statistics, etc. 2 sessions devoted to logic, from non-classical logics, proof theory, and foundations and history of logic, and moreover, the session on biological medical science. The conference is therefore very rich as far as the topics dealt with are concerned, and so I hope that everyone will find something that will enrich his, her knowledge and make it, as always, worthwhile to have come to Bologna. Welcome to everybody.
Just one more thing, not to be too dry in my welcome. At least the foreigners don't know that in Italy, any field of research is bureaucratized. You know, we have labels, a lot of different things, and blah blah. And now that Italy has started, we have had the second cycle of evaluation of research. You know, the group of the philosophers of science and logicians came out as the most international one. You know, 72% of the papers submitted were in English, whereas the second group within philosophy was philosophy of language, my own field, which had only 49% of papers submitted in English, and that about half of the people evaluating research, at least for philosophy of science and logic, were foreigner. And I think this is an achievement of your group, even if it has a cost, because within the philosophy groups, you know, philosophy of science and philosophy of language were evaluated the lowest, got the lowest evaluation. And I think that they got the lowest evaluation because just they are competing, you know, on the international scene and not just locally. So my compliments to people who organized this conference, my compliment to you, and welcome, and have a good work in the next few days.
Now we have 10 minutes before the first plenary lecture starts at 11. I think we should try to keep the time. And just, sorry, practicalities, maybe, you know, chairs, I think, you know, should be concerned about the time, especially when there are five sessions, you know, running at the same time, so that people can move from one room to another. Okay. Now I think is Maria Carla. That maybe if you want to. Yes, I think we have 10 minutes break.